Yusuf is a widow raising 4 children. Her husband was a law enforcement official for Daesh until he was killed in an airstrike 2 years ago.
When he pledged allegiance to ISIS, the liberation of East Mosul had already started. But the circumstances were so bad that he couldn't take it anymore. Living conditions were worse than impossible.
She and her children are still haunted by his legacy.
The whole family is destroyed, deprived of everything.
Sometimes when we go to sell the bread in the mosque, some people disgrace me by saying that my father was Daesh. I swear to God, this is so painful to me. They're talking about my father and it makes me feel sad. It hurts me.
As Daesh lost its foothold in Iraq, thousands of people living under its self-proclaimed caliphate followed the group into Syria. Now that it's been defeated, they've been left languishing in camps controlled by the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces. Iraqis make up about 40% of the population at the Al-Hol refugee camp in northeast Syria. The government in Baghdad has spent months negotiating for the return of about 30,000 people. But they could end up swapping one camp for another. According to the Washington Post, Iraqi officials want to isolate them in detention camps. Partly because of security concerns, and partly because they're at risk of violent retribution from neighbours displaced by Daesh. Even those already back in Iraq face isolation and exclusion.
They call us Daeshi families. They don't give us identification cards. Our children are unable to go to school and they are fighting us. On what basis are these children being punished for their father's sins?
Children born under Daesh's so-called caliphate were rarely registered with Iraqi authorities. Now, about 45,000 children have no identification documents.
Therefore, they cannot register in school. They cannot go to the hospital or have any kind of health care. They cannot get vaccination. And they cannot receive any kind of assistance from their government, such as food distribution. Basically, today they don't exist in their country.
Tom Perry Costa from the Norwegian Refugee Council says Iraq risks alienating an entire generation.
By punishing entire families, you marginalize them and you seriously undermine reconciliation efforts in Iraq. You cannot hold accountable children for the crime of their parents. You cannot hold accountable a widow because her husband took the wrong path.
If they are ignored, what are they going to give back to Iraq? What kind of future will Iraq have? Can we expect any kind of future for Iraq? These children will become aggressive, bloodthirsty and savage. Am I right or not?
And a radicalised generation is the last thing Iraq needs as it tries to rehabilitate its people and rebuild the country. Denee Savoia, The Newsmakers.